This video is the next video in the series on doing Bible study. Now, I've talked to you about buying the right Bible, buying a Bible pen, using the pen by underlining verses in the Bible and which verses to underline. And then I taught you about beginning by reading the first letter of John for 7 days. Now, the next step is to keep a journal. And in that journal, you will, on every day that you do Bible reading, which hopefully is every day, you want to put the day, like Monday, the date, like February 29th. Yes, I know there's no February 29th, that's why I threw it in. You want to put what text you are looking at, first letter of John, entire letter. And then you want to write down, was there something there that struck you about what you read? And maybe note where it was that you read. And we'll talk about that further. Was there something that struck you? And then were there any commands, principles, or promises? And write those in. And that's your spiritual journal. Keep that every day that you are doing Bible study. That's something, again, recommended by Monsignor Jonas Abib. I got to be honest, sometimes I'm faithful to it, sometimes I'm not. I'm more faithful to every other part of it because there's so much stuff, and I should be more faithful to the Bible journal because there is so much stuff that comes up in our Bible study, so much wisdom that comes out of it. Now, the next thing is, what verses should we read? And again, in that verse, you wouldn't want to put the entire letter of John, because from here on in, unless you're reading the entire letter of John, from here on in, we are actually doing chapter by chapter. So in other words, what's the next book in the Bible you should read? Monsignor Jonas Abib recommends the Gospel of John. I will do the same thing. You can go to any of the Gospels. He recommends the Gospel of John. It goes well with the first letter of John. It is the last of the Gospels written. It was written basically to a Gnostic community. So, and we're living a lot in a Gnostic type world. So it really speaks a lot to us. So there's the Gospel of John. You can use any of the other Gospels, understand that each of them have their own focus. So the Gospel of Mark was the first Gospel written. The Gospel of Matthew was written to Jews. A lot of people consider the Gospel of Luke as being a gospel that was written with women in mind, and there's a point to that. And Father Rufus Pereira, who was, he's now the late Father Rufus Pereira, was a great exorcist and a great preacher from India, used to talk about that. And the Gospel of Luke is written to Gentiles. And then, of course, you have the Gospel of John. So Monsignor Jonas Abib recommends the Gospel of John. Now, instead of reading the entire Gospel every day, read one chapter. And do that. One chapter, what did you get out of each particular chapter? Then I would recommend the following series. I'd recommend you go to the book of Acts of the Apostles, then Paul's letter to the Romans, then I'd recommend 1 and 2 Peter. And that's going to be a little further down the line. And when you've done that, then write to me what you think should be next. You notice I've said nothing about the Old Testament. Again, the Old Testament will come in time, but you want to have a good foundation in the New Testament so you can better understand the Old Testament. So that would be the next step of your Bible study. The Bible journal, going in a certain process, reading the Gospel of John. If you want to read any of the others, that's fine. Instead, the Gospel of John is recommended. Acts of the Apostles, always highly recommended when beginning Bible study because it's the story of the early church. And then I am saying about Paul's letter to the Romans, very intense, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. Really talks a lot about what it means to live our faith. And that really is going to take a lot of deep understanding of your faith. So you may want to share with others what it means, especially with your priest, because that's the Bible verse that caused a lot of confusion. That's the Bible, the letter of the Bible that caused a lot of confusion. So, and we'll talk about that in a little while. And then, of course, 1st and 2nd Peter are very basic, powerful teachings from, of course, St. Peter. And then we'll go from there. So, hope you enjoyed doing this Bible study so far. And now you're really set for several months. And we'll be doing other videos in the meantime talking about Bible study, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, God bless you.